Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Spanish United Radio. I'm your host, Enrique Sanchez. This afternoon, we have a very special guest. Would you be kind enough to introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Well, hello, I am Miss Stepahnie Parejamaas, and I am so happy and honored to be here.
Welcome. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, explain to the audience a little bit of your background, how you started your YouTube channel, and what made you decide to get into the field of helping people within your community.
Hmm. Well, kind of a long story short, I love helping people believe in themselves and really have the confidence to live their most delicious, yummy, precious life. And educationally, I have like my bachelor's in health and human development. I have a master's in marriage and family therapy. I have another degree that kind of encompasses hypnosis, um, like nutrition, like holistic health, stuff like that. And I used to work a lot within like the behavioral health world. And then once I became a mom, I wanted to do kind of my own business where I was able to travel around to different states and stuff like that, which is really hard to do
Mhm.
with license and counseling. You can't really go from state to state. And
Right.
um, so anyway, I decided to create my YouTube channel because I really wanted to make hypnosis recordings and meditation recordings and just like give like little tips on just accepting yourself and just really creating a life for you, regardless if everyone else is applauding for you or disagreeing with you or um, disappointed in you, all of these things, because this is our precious life and we deserve to live a fulfilling, beautiful one. So that's why I created my YouTube channel.
Awesome. Yes, I've been following your channel for the last couple of years, and I'm very amazed in how you reach out to many people, and especially in our society that unfortunately has gotten more conservative by the day. Not too many people in vulnerable communities have an outlet to reach out to to safe places, as they say. So I really commend what you do.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it actually really surprised me because I started working mostly my YouTube channel started off with like self-love and like relationships and stuff like that. And then eventually I started posting stuff about like embracing your feminine energy and your feminine side. And it kind of grew from there, really working with feminine souls, whether though it's like trans women or cross-dressers or men who feminize or just people who want to just get in touch with that softer side of themselves to feel their own self-love, their own self-compassion, permission to be themselves, permission to be different than the average person or what society tells you you have to be. And I started getting all these messages like, hey, this recording helped me through my darkest night, or to simple ones is like job interviews where people were like, this is helping me get a job. So I was like, wow, this is really having a positive impact on people. And it really inspired me to continue to create content, even when I felt like, oh, no one's seeing this. When I would get a message that said, this really helped me, I was like, okay, this work is mattering. It does matter and it is making a difference. And so from there, I've been able to create this beautiful community and it's so special.
Nice. Have you ever felt like you've received any negative backlash, let's say from social conservative Christian groups, anything like that, or has it mostly been positive?
You know, most of it's been positive. Every once in a while, I'll get a comment that is pretty derogatory, or I'll get like, I did have somebody actually from the community really harass me one time, threaten me, call the cops on me, called Child Protective Services on me. And that scared me for a little bit to see if I really wanted to continue to do this work. But then I continued to get messages about, how this was really helping them and giving them courage and how they were changing their lives and how they were happier than they had ever been. And so luckily I've only had one really, really like scary, traumatic for me incident. Otherwise, it's just a few comments here and there, and those are just comments. Like yesterday, I had a comment of somebody saying, that I only help people because to because I charge them money. But I was like, I could work with any population, and this is the population I choose to work with because it's creating a positive impact. And people don't have to work with me, and I have tons of free content. So usually it's about either the negative comments are about there are posts about like Bible verses, or it's about how I'm charging people to work with them.
Mm.
Or
Is
usually
your right, so is your background religious in general or is it secular? Forgive me for asking.
mine or other people's.
You know, yours.
Oh, I grew up very much in the church. But now I would be so many people say I'm way more spiritual than I am religious. I don't really go to church and I really don't support groups of people who marginalize or to say that other groups are bad just because they're different. That
Mm.
doesn't feel in alignment with me because I feel like everyone wants to belong, everyone wants to feel loved, everyone wants to feel. I mean, it's terrible to tell people you're a mistake or all of these things. And I feel like there's so much cruelty in the world and so much negativity. And I just want to be a place of love and support and encouragement. And so if other people are, I don't know, using a place that's supposed to be of love and support to harm other people. I just don't want to be a part of that.
Right, I understand. It's the same thing with Spanish United. I founded it 6 years ago because I've noticed there's not too many organizations or advocates that actually are for the Hispanic community. And as you know, the Hispanic community is the most heavily persecuted community in the United States right now.
Hmm.
I have about 5 chapters in different states, and we do a lot of advocacy and helping the community. Like yesterday, I was in Boyle Heights, which is an area of Los Angeles where a factory burned down, and because the area is predominantly Hispanic, the fire department didn't get there until 2 weeks later. While Grove, which is in Orange County, which is predominantly Vietnamese American, they went there right away. So I see a disparity and I myself, as a civil rights leader, I've gotten a lot of harassment because they say, why are you buying to help a community that, that nobody cares for? And similar to yours, I feel that the Hispanic community, has been marginalized for such a long time, and many of them are even afraid to reach out. So that's the reason why I advocate for them because not too many people are doing it, and I'm doing it primarily for free, aside from working in radio, and working as a professor. But I also, feel that it's a community that needs to be helped the same way you help your community.
Hmm. No, I think that's amazing that you do that. I did AmeriCorps in Connecticut for a year, and I worked a lot with the Hispanic community. And I know what you're saying to not have a there's not a many people who will speak up and use their voice for that community. So I'm glad that you're doing that, and it sounds like you're doing amazing work and making a huge difference. So I think that's beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. So my other question is, aside from your YouTube channel, do you have like an office or a practice where you do your sessions? Is it mostly online?
It's mostly online. The only thing I do that has to be done in person is like body work, which is like a somatic, emotional release. It's like a trauma release through your body where it's different pressure points. And so I have to do that because it's basically pushing on different pressure points while you're doing a specific breath work. Other than that, everything else I do, is online over Zoom. And so I meet with people all over. And I also have like a Patreon community, which is so beautiful. So what I really try to do is have different levels of entry, right? Like I have a higher where if you want one-on-one work that costs a little bit more, but otherwise I have group work. We have a Discord, we have a community, and I have all my YouTube stuff for, YouTube's obviously for free to watch, which have really quality recordings and stuff on there. But my Patreon is where I do like a lot of group sessions where we meet like a couple times a month and you get to encourage each other and you get to see these amazing women just like share their resources, share their stories, and they're all in different like parts of their journey, but they're all uplifting and supporting each other in different parts of the country. And it's really, really fun. So I love that we're able to have the internet and be able to connect with people over Zoom or Discord, stuff like that. I really think it helps with the loneliness epidemic. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And especially that a lot of people have not fully recovered from COVID-19, especially.
yes.
So another question, like within your community, like what percentage would you say is Hispanic? Is it a large percentage or small percentage or somewhere equally in between?
You know, I would not be able to give you 100% that statistic. I could look at my analytics on YouTube and tell you what they were, but um, I don't know the number off the top of my head.
No, the reason why I ask because when it comes to mental health services or anything, Hispanics tend to be the lowest in receiving mental health, aside from the economical part, but also there is a stigma. It's like
Mm-mm.
within the Hispanic community, that's one of the reasons why there's a lot of alcohol abuse, drug abuse, et cetera, because people self-medicate, and primarily because they are afraid to seek professional help. Like Spanish United, we are not like a mental health service, but we always try to encourage those that are going through mental health issues to seek out resources. And we also try to refer people to resources because there's a lot of, mental health services that Hispanic people can have access to, but they're afraid to reach. So someone that is in that field, like how would you encourage someone who is afraid, to seek out mental health services, from reaching out, even though they feel that it is a social stigma?
Yeah, that I what you're saying is I think so true. So I think that people who reach out to me directly that are Hispanic would probably be very, very low in the percentage. People who watch my channel might be a little bit higher because they can do that in private and not um have to disclose themselves, you know what I'm saying? So I think what's important is who's telling you that it's wrong to get the mental health stuff? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And how is that person handling the stressors in their life or the disappointments or the grief or the joys in their life? And is that what you want to do? Or do you want to do it differently? And just think of it as a tool. Because what I like to do is I provide a safe space for you to tell your story, and then I provide you very many tools to use. So like just think of taking care of your mental health toolbox is like if I was a carpenter or something like that, I have to have tools in order to do a good job, right?
Mhm.
So just think of it as just it's one aspect of your life where you're just gathering tools. If I'm in the kitchen and I'm going to make my family a delicious meal, I'm going to need ingredients to do that.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, well, what ingredients do I need to use to help myself feel like I'm doing okay, or I'm expressing myself, or I feel safe, or I'm not carrying everything by myself, or I'm not stuffing everything deep down, because that can have, like, I always like to think of, if I'm not expressing some of my feelings, then I'm like a little volcano. And if I'm stuffing it down, the pressure begins to build. And eventually, you can explode, whether that's your anger or sadness or shutting everybody out. And everyone gets burned. You know what I mean? Just
Mhm.
yourself and everyone around you. And so it's just like any other part of your life. And it's important. Like mental health is something that everyone has, and you can change it. I heard, I think Simon Sinek, instead of calling it mental health, he was calling it something like mental wellness or something like that. So that way it sounds a little bit more like, oh, it's a lifetime thing. Our
Right.
entire lives we're working on our fitness. He calls it mental fitness. So you're working on like the fitness of your mind, of your emotion, of your coping skills, of how you're handling things. And like everyone in the entire world benefits from positive coping skills. You know what I mean? There's no one out there who doesn't feel better when you have better ways to handle your anger, your
Right.
sadness, your joy. So it's unfortunate that it ges stigmatized, but it's something where you have to love yourself enough to like let people judge you, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And I feel that more than ever before, we need to find proactive ways in creating safe spaces and also providing resources for those that are seeking, to make their lives better and to make themselves, be more productive members of society.
And that's why I think like online, like whether it's I just like YouTube because I'm on there a lot, but there is so many. So if you don't want to let other people know, like if you don't want to go to a therapist, fine, don't go to a therapist. But go look online for like actual good advice that feels really credible or good and where you're like for my channel, for example, the hypnosis on there, it sounds so scary, and a lot of people who are religious will not want to do hypnosis because it freaks them out. They think like it's a negative thing, but really it's just meditation that's a little bit deeper. So hypnosis literally just takes you to your theta brain state, which allows you to have deep relaxation and deep focus. So change the words if you need to, like reframe it so that you can allow these tools to be a part of your toolbox, you know?
Mm.
Instead of feeling like you're doing something negative or wrong or harmful to yourself, it's thinking like you're just telling yourself suggestions that make you feel better about life
Mm.
and give you tools to handle situations in a way that you want to, that makes you feel proud of yourself instead of disappointed in yourself.
Right. So as part of your, in-person therapy of somatic, do you also use like tuning forks and sound bowls in your work as well, or is it just mostly pressure points and meditative music?
Oh, when I do my body work.
Yes.
So for the body work sessions that are somatic, I have, like you can see, I have a singing bowl here in the background. I am a sound healer as well. So I don't have all the stuff, like I don't have like a gong and stuff because those are really expensive. So that's on
Oh, I
my
know.
to get list, but they're amazing. Oh my gosh, they're so good. But yes, if I do a body healing, or I guess a body work session, I will include like the singing or the sound bowls, some chimes. I do have tuning forks. I have like a nice little drum, and I have like actually sitting right next to me, I have a frequency machine right now that's playing in the background.
What
While I
is a frequency machine? What is that?
Oh, you just can set it to, so this one is I think it's called calmidity, something like that. And it you can set it to different frequencies, which can help with like either your energy or help you sleep, or like I have this one set at 528 right now, which is like the miracle tone, which is supposed to be like for just feelings of love and repair. Like it does all these good things. So
I didn't know there was such thing as a frequency machine.
yeah, and it's just like the tuning forks or the singing bowls, but or the sound bowls, but it's you can set it to whichever one you want. Because like if I go play this bowl right now, that's going to be a certain frequency.
Mhm.
And but this you just set to it and it's supposed to send out that frequency like a PEMF.
Right. So is the sound bowl in the background, is that made out of glass?
Yes, it's made out of crystal.
Oh, okay. Because I know that different sound bowls, depending on what it's made out of, the frequency may be higher, maybe slower, maybe heavier, maybe, thinner.
Yes, yes.
Nice, nice. So, what is the joy or satisfaction that you get from your channel and from your practice with the people that you work with? Like, what is the joy or satisfaction that you get from it?
I love that question. It is so beautiful to watch people believe in themselves and allow life to be better for them, to change the story that they're not lovable or they have to sacrifice their life or they have to be less than or they have to tolerate unkindness or cruelty and all of these things and just step into their own power and their own self-love and then do something like, I don't know, it can be something as simple to buying themselves a shirt that they really want, to
Mm.
coming out into their friends and family, or going for the job they really want, or dating somebody who helps them feel loved. You know what I mean? So it's such a beautiful journey to be a part of, to watch people step into their self-love and power and go from a place of feeling like life's gonna always just be mediocre to life is absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely, and I feel that that's a positive mindset to have. Like in my personal experience. Spanish United, my foundation has given me a lot of joy because I feel that it's given me a sense of purpose. At the same time, I am helping those that are less fortunate. Like when I was in Boyle Heights yesterday, just the fact that people were so grateful and me giving them all of the supplies and things that they needed, gave me a satisfaction because sometimes, as humans, we tend to complain that, our lives are not doing great, but when you are in somebody else's shoes, especially those from a marginalized community, you tend to appreciate what you have and then you realize, that life is not as bad as you think it is. It's always good to have empathy for others because we learn to not only appreciate, but we also learn to have empathy for others that may not be in the same social or economical standing like we are. So that's something that I take from Spanish United and helping, doing outreach.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And I think there's always so much pain in the world, but there's always so much beauty too. And so I think it's really important to acknowledge the pain, but also look for the beauty and look for the joy and make sure that your day has joy in it. Even if it's just like little sprinkles of joy, whatever that is, watching the sunset or like I have my little water bottle that I drink that is pretty, that makes me feel good. You know what I mean? So I think there's like all these little things where we have to acknowledge the pain, but we can't marinate in it and then look for the joy too. And I think that's something that a lot of marginalized populations are really good at doing. They're able to find the joy and the fun and the pleasure within their lives. And I think that is something that is so powerful and helps with the resilience and just creating a beautiful life for themselves.
Absolutely. So like, aside from, working in the field that you do, like, if you had a message that you could give to the Hispanic community, for example, that's going through struggles, like what would be your message to them?
Well, first I would acknowledge that they're going through struggles and that their struggle's real and it matters and it sucks, right? Like struggles suck. And they're not alone. Like sometimes it feels like we are alone, and sometimes we almost want to be alone in that struggle, right? Because we want it to be acknowledged that it's hard and it sucks. So I think acknowledging that first, like struggles are real and
Hmm.
they're frustrating and they can be overwhelming. And at the same time, within that struggle, do not continue to repeat the old story that is the negative one that's going on in your mind. So whether that's you telling yourself it's never going to be better, it's always going to be hard, you're never going to be good enough, it's never going to be your turn, change that story and start telling yourself, even if you're not going all the way to like, okay, amazing things can happen for me. Maybe you can start with like, okay, the rest of the day is going to be better or tomorrow's going to be better. Every day gets a little bit better. Tell yourself a new story. Like maybe, okay, from now on, things are going to start working out for me, or I'm going to have good things happen for me. I'm going to do these things and then start looking for it because one of the most surprising things for me is when I ask somebody, what's the kindest thing someone has done for you? I love to ask people that question
Hmm.
because I love acts of kindness and like it is amazing how kind people will be. But a lot of times I'll ask somebody, what's the kindest thing somebody has done for you? And they'll say, oh, nothing. No one's ever done anything kind for me. And I think, how is that possible? You're not noticing the kindness. And it could be something as simple as someone opened the door for you or someone picked up something when you dropped it or stuff like that. It doesn't have to
Hmm.
be someone paid your medical bills for you. Do you
Right,
know
of
what I mean?
course.
So I think when we start looking for the kindness and the beauty in the world and we change our story to something that's going to be more uplifting and help us feel better, then we start making different choices that help us uplift ourselves. Like you have to believe in yourself. And that's one of the reasons why I do the work that I do is because I heard when I was growing up, you only need one person to believe in you to change your life before
Hmm.
you start, and then you can start believing in yourself. And I feel like that's really true. And so, like, Enrique, it sounds like you believe in all of your community. You believe in them.
Mhm.
You want to support them. So you're the person believing in them. For me, I believe in my community. I believe in them. Their life can be so much better and so much more beautiful. And so we're believing in them until they join us. You know what I mean? And then
Exactly.
when they change their story, and I know it seems like it can't be that simple, but your mindset is so powerful and it will help you create whatever story you're telling yourself. And
Mhm.
so just changing your story to what would feel better and remind you of like your own power. And also like anybody who's suffering, look what you've already gone through. Look what you've already overcome. And you're gonna tell me this time it's different? Are you kidding me? No way. This time it might be harder, but you're still gonna be able to get through it. You have the tools, and if you don't have the tools, go learn the tools. You know what I mean? There's tools available to you to help you through any challenge that you're in. And is it gonna be the best tools always, or is it gonna be like go from like a terrible, terrible situation to absolutely the most amazing situation in the entire world, like the movies? Not always. Very rarely does that happen, but it
Mhm.
can get better, and you can, I think, have the turn that suffering into beautifulness for yourself, you know?
Absolutely. One thing that I learned in Judaism, because I am part Jewish, is the concept of the Kul Olam, which means to repair the world. So every
Mm.
individual has a purpose in putting their spark in repairing the world. And I remember the Lubavitch Rebbe, who was, the very influential of the Chabad movement, mentioned that every person, has a potential to do great things. We just have to know what it is.
I love that. I love that so much. And I think that's so true. And sometimes we think that our purpose has to be in our work, but it can just be who we are. Like maybe you're really funny, or maybe you're really creative, or maybe you create more beauty, or maybe you are like the really steady, loyal person. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
our purposes can be, they can seem so simple that they don't matter, but that's why they matter so much, is because it changes and impacts the people around you on such like a deep level. And sometimes we don't even realize that because we think it's so simple,
Hmm.
or like we have to be like huge and loud and big and famous in order for it to make a difference. But really, just you showing up the way you are and whatever it is that comes with you is such a beautiful gift. And I think people undervalue that a lot about themselves.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I do in my workshops with people, that it doesn't matter if you have a lot of resources or not. What matters is, that you invest your time, and that you invest in helping those making your community better. Like I'm all about making communities better, community improvement, and at the same time making changes within ourselves. Because again, if other communities that are not marginalized are able to be more successful than we are, why can't we? Like, what can we learn to make ourselves, be equal to them, at the same time, also to improve our lot. So that's one of the things I always do when I'm doing workshops with many people in the Hispanic communities, that we should not only look at what's bringing us down, but what can we do to try to uplift ourselves, to make ourselves better? Because I feel that every Hispanic person has the potential to do great things, but like you said, they have to believe in themselves.
I love that, Enrique. And I love also because even your name, Spanish United, right? Because when we're united, we can create so much beauty. We can create so much love. We can make a positive impact. That's how we make changes. Like, it's so hard to make a change by yourself, even though you can make a change by yourself. Like, I heard somebody say one time, if you can't change the world, just change your world.
Right.
And I thought, wow, that's so empowering, because it's like, but I love it. So you can do by yourself, but once you become united with other people, and then you have the energy of the momentum of all these people coming together for the same good. Oh my gosh, I feel like then you're unstoppable.
That's one of the reasons why I chose Spanish United, because Spanish is what unites all Latin American people, from Mexico to the Caribbean to South America to Spain. Because even though we are racially diverse, because Hispanics, we are not a race, we're an ethnicity, we are united through language and culture, because our culture comes from Spain. So that's the reason why I chose the name Spanish United, because what unites us is language and culture.
I love that. That's brilliant.
it was actually a vote that all of my council did to come up with the name, because originally we were called Hispanic Lives Matter. We wanted to choose
Mm.
something that was more inclusive. So I came up with the idea of Spanish United. We took a vote and we all chose the name, and that's why we became Spanish United.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So yeah, like I said, I feel that the more united, people are in general, regardless of what their background is, they could do wonderful things. Another question I wanted to ask you, forgive me for asking, your last name Parajamas, is that a Greek name?
Oh, you know what? It's my maiden name combined with my ex-husband's name. So his last name was Pareja, which I think is Spanish, actually.
Hmm.
And and then mine was Moss, which I believe is Dutch. And
Hmm.
so when we got married, we just made it one word and
Ah,
did
okay.
Parejamaas. So yeah.
Got it. Because the reason why I asked, because the name kind of sounds Greek, because there are some names that have a very, very long like names with like very long words. So I kind of assumed that it was Greek.
Oh, I love that though. That's so fun. And okay, so I wanted to share too, if it's okay, Enrique. So
Sure.
beautifully changed, right? That's the name of my YouTube channel.
Hmm.
And so kind of like I thought that too, like how do we change ourselves? And I thought one of the most beautiful ways to change ourselves is through self-love and self-acceptance and self-compassion. And so that's why I call it beautifully changed, because we change through beautiful means versus forcing ourselves or punish like through harshness. You know what I mean? We change through beauty instead of.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And I feel that when we change our inner beauty, it reflects on our outer beauty.
Yes, very much so.
Well, one final comment is for those who want to, become, advocates for marginalized communities like yours, like what would be your advice to them?
Hmm. I would say go connect with people. Just connect with people, have conversations. I think that's one of the best ways to. Okay, so and this is where I might be coming at this from like a different lens because I know a lot of people feel like it's not my job to educate. The thing is, having conversations isn't necessarily taking on the responsibility of educating. It's connecting people with a real story.
Hmm.
And it's letting people know, okay, so many times people, okay, so I feel like I grew up in a very small town in Montana, and there's very few opportunities to see anyone who doesn't look like you.
Hmm.
And so I think when you have an opportunity to go to different communities and have conversations with people and make friendships and let people know, like united, right? We become
Hmm.
more united. And then we know somebody who who we thought was different that we didn't necessarily like that kind of different, right? But
Hmm.
then once we know somebody and we can connect a story and we know like, oh wait, so these challenges really do exist. It's not just on TV or the news. Like I know somebody who had this challenge. Then I think it creates more love and acceptance and compassion in the world and empathy. And versus if we all stay so separate and divided, then it makes it so you can never really know somebody who experienced that challenge. Am I making sense? Is this making
Yes,
sense?
you're making perfect sense.
Okay, because I know like a lot of the women that I work with, they're so scared to come out because they're like, oh, I just hear my coworkers make trans jokes all the time or something like that, right? And then they'll come out at work and they're like, oh my gosh, I was so much more accepted and people were so kind and I feel like they have my back now. And I was like, that's such a beautiful story because before they knew who you really are, they were just talking. They were just making jokes, whatever, trying to fit in, whatever they're doing. Who knows? Who knows their reasons, right? But
Hmm.
now that they know you, now they're like, oh, somebody I know and love and care about is trans. So
Hmm.
now I can have more compassion and I can ask questions and I can understand more and I can be more aware of how I'm treating people or the things I'm saying or the way I'm showing up or the organizations I support. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I just really think connecting and conversations and if we I really love the idea that all of our friends shouldn't look like us. We should have a variety of friends so that we can have compassion and understanding and have difficult or hard conversations that open us up and let us know, like, everyone, like Jim Rohn used to say, right? It rains on the rich. Like, everyone has difficulties that they're going through, but how can we become, as you say, united, right? And approach them together versus separate and divided.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, we've come to the end of our time. I want to tell you, Stephanie, thank you for being a guest on this show. I truly appreciate your presence. And for to the listeners that are on Spanish United Radio, we are on all social media platforms. We are on Spanish United Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now known as X. We are on YouTube. We are a nonprofit organization. Anyone that wants to give a donation, will help someone in the community. And as soon as I'm finished, I will send you the link. And again, thank you so much for being a guest on the show, Stephanie.
Thank you, Enrique. This was such a pleasure.
Have yourself a wonderful afternoon.
You too.
Bye bye.